struggle to create loving, lasting relationships? Or can you never make enough money to be happy? Maybe you're at a crossroads and you're confused about what steps to take. Consider the possibility that you are suffering from unresolved emotional trauma. The American Psychological Association defines trauma as damage to the mind, soul, or body. This damage is created by extremely difficult events such as divorce, yours or your parents when you were a child, abuse, neglect, bullying, bankruptcy. There's so many. It seems very likely that every one of us has experienced some type of trauma in our lives. I know this firsthand. I was in my 30s before I realized that emotional trauma was ruining my life. When I was 13, my parents moved us from Chicago to California. I had to say goodbye to my two best friends. They were my soul sisters. We were so connected, we could read each other's minds and finish each other's sentences. I didn't know how I would live without them. I was only in California for a month when I learned that Marcia was in the hospital for severe headaches. Then Shubi called and said, Marcia had brain surgery and is in a coma. I was shocked and distraught. I cried to God, this is so unfair. She's only 13. Please save her. And then I had an experience that was so out of the ordinary. I had flashbacks and memories of other lifetimes I had lived. There was a lifetime when I was a shaman in ancient Peru, and another as a Buddhist monk in Thailand. I could even remember being a priestess in the ancient mystery schools of Egypt. In that extraordinary moment, I knew that I was more than a body. I knew that all souls lived forever. And I knew that Marcia, Shubi, and I would always be connected. Even though I could remember being a healer in so many other lifetimes, I couldn't save Marcia. I felt helpless when she died. That was the first time I experienced emotional trauma, but I didn't realize it. Shubi and I grew even closer. We tried to understand life and death and concepts like past lives and reincarnation. We wondered where Marcia's soul was and if she could hear us. By the time I was 14, I was passionate about spirituality. I read every spiritual book I could get my hands on, and I started to study meditation. I continued to seek for spiritual answers, and I majored in philosophy at the university. One night, I was home from school. I went out with my friends, and I was really surprised to see lights on when I came home. I walked into the den, and my parents were sitting in their bathrobes, looking so sad. My father, holding back tears, said, Shubi died tonight. It was a car accident. I felt like I'd been stabbed through the heart. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't run to the hospital. Her body was 2,000 miles away. I had no one to talk to. My two best friends were both dead. I lay awake all night, praying that Shubi's soul would come and say goodbye. She never came. That second trauma hit me even harder than the first. And yet I still didn't know I was traumatized. There was a song that came out the year that Shubi died. The lyrics went like this: sex and drugs and rock and roll are all my brain and body need. With no other direction, at the tender age of 21, I became a bartender in San Francisco. Life felt hopeless. With no friends and no purpose, I was lost. I moved around, I changed jobs. I eventually ended up in advertising back in Chicago. But the wild parties, the years of drugs and alcohol took a toll on my life and my body. When I was in my 30s, I realized it was time to get off that disco roller coaster and get professional help. This time I tried an acupuncturist. She diagnosed systemic candida, adrenal fatigue, food allergies, and, of course, liver toxicity. And this was the first time I heard someone mention unresolved emotional trauma as a possible root cause for my health issues. After a year of physical healing and detoxing, my acupuncturist said to me, I can help you heal your body, but not your soul. You need to go deep inside to listen to your soul's guidance, to resolve the trauma that is keeping you sick. She also suggested I see an energy healer. I was excited by another prospect of getting more information. I went to see Jan. She was a sweet woman and well respected for her healing gifts. She quickly moved into a trance state with closed eyes to do my healing session. She talked about my relationships with my parents and our soul contracts. Then she suddenly stopped. Her eyes popped open. She looked directly into mine and said, "You are a healer." I was stunned. I remembered all those past life memories that had flooded in while Marcia lay in a coma. I realized that she was right. I realized that this trauma had transformed my life from the purpose I had as a teenager to somebody wallowing in emotional pain. I finally realized where that emotional pain and anger were coming from. The sudden deaths of my soul sisters had traumatized me, and no one realized it. I now felt ready to pursue my soul purpose. For the next several years, I trained to be an energy healer and an intuitive counselor. In my 40s, I opened a healing center. I was so excited to share my gifts. One day, something extraordinary happened. I was doing a session for a client, and suddenly I heard this big, booming voice, and even though I knew it was in my head, it felt so otherworldly. The voice described the plan my client had made before being born. I call it their soul plan. The plan included the people they wished to love, learn from, and support. There was information about the gifts and talents they had honed in many other lifetimes that they wished to share now. I realized that we are all infinite souls living this human life. I realized that our souls are on a journey. Did you know that your soul's journey is recorded? That recording is called the Akashic Record. There is a recording of everything your soul has been or done. I even realized that big booming voice was soul guidance from my Akashic Record. Clients often come to me because they feel unhappy, broke, or confused. They want to make enough money to get past merely surviving. They want to create loving, supportive relationships. They want to build a life of purpose. As we work together, they often realize their challenge is not actually about love or money. It's about healing the emotional trauma that has been affecting their whole life. Together, we come to understand their soul's plan and gain clarity to help heal their life. If you're experiencing any sorts of challenges, if you're suffering and don't know why, be open to the possibility that you are struggling with unresolved emotional trauma. What worked for me was to be compassionate with myself and to listen to my soul's guidance, because it has made it possible for me to move from illness, addiction, and unresolved trauma to a life of purpose, empowerment, and joy. I am certain that your soul has a plan and knows the way. And I promise, if you listen, it will guide you.